The Haflinger horse has distant origins, dating back at least to the Middle Ages, and which are based on several theories. One of them would be that his ancestors were horses that were abandoned in the Tyrol Valley by Goths from the east to flee the Byzantine troops after the fall of Kanza in 555. Another theory sees the Haflinger horse as the descendant of a stallion sent in 1342 to Louis V of Bavaria, on the occasion of the marriage of John II of Brandenburg, to Princess Marguerite Maltisch of Tyrol. The last would be that the Haflinger horse comes from the tarpon of prehistory. Long later, it would have been crossed with heavy horses originating from Italy, now extinct, more particularly from the regions of Murano and Bolzano. It is possible that there is some truth in each of them. Indeed, in the Middle Ages, the Noric horse lived in the valleys, then there were small alpine horses in Tyrol, and finally heavy horses in the mountains of the regions of Murano, Bolzano and South Tyrol. The birth of the Haflinger horse is perhaps due to the crossing of these types of horses. Since it is close to the Noric horse, it is suitable for traction, and all of them are capable of living in the mountains, where the conditions of life are difficult. The Haflinger horse that we know today officially comes from the village of Hafling, from which it takes its name, which formerly belonged to Austria and Hungary. The Arabian horse will strongly mark the breed through the Bedavi stallion, imported from Austria in the 19th century, which will be crossed with Galicie, a half-Arab mare. This union will give birth to Foley, a stallion born to a farmer in 1874, who will become the founding stallion of the breed. In 1899, the first breeding program was set up, at the initiative of the Austrian government, and subsidies were granted to breeders. The best mares will be selected, and breeding will focus on the quality of the breed, with the less good horses being employed by the army. Stud farms will be founded, more particularly in the province of Tyrol, where the Haflinger horse is very popular, including those established in Lower Austria, Styria and Salzburg. The breeding program was interrupted during the First World War, a period during which many horses were requisitioned. Then with the Treaty of Saint-Germain-en-Laye, South Tyrol, where the village of Hafling is located, was given to Italy, and the rest of the lands to Austria. Unfortunately, the best stallions will remain in Austria, while the quality mares will be in Italy, where the breed takes the name Avilinese. In the 1920s, a commission was set up in Bolzano to set up cooperation between Austria and Italy, but in vain. It is thanks to the few stallions kept at the Stadlpora stud farm in Upper Austria that the Haflinger horse still exists today. De 1919 à 1920, les étalons encore présents en Autriche sont répartis dans tous les pays, un plus tard une coopérative est créée aux Ams, et en 1922, la première show national est organisée. The same year, Austria invested in the importation of mares bred in South Tyrol, and the first herd book was published in 1926. The Great Depression and World War II had a detrimental effect on the Haflinger horse, due to limited sales prices and raids. To meet the needs of the army, the Haflinger horse will become smaller and heavier, and the uncontrolled crossbreeding which will take place to modify its model will cause the degeneration of the breed. A selection program, aimed at obtaining a pure and more refined breed, was adopted at the conferences of 1946 and 1947, and the stud book was closed. Unlike other breeds, the Haflinger horse saw its popularity increase in the 1950s, despite the arrival of mechanization, particularly in Germany, Yugoslavia and Italy. In 1974, the Haflinger horse arrived in Australia, then in the United States in 1977, in Canada in the early 1980s, and other countries would follow, such as Luxembourg and Thailand. The Haflinger horse is the first to be cloned in the world. Named Promti, this mare was born on May 28, 2003 from a simple skin cell. The qualities of the Haflinger horse are numerous. He is refined, elegant, strong, rustic, kind, calm, and the color of his unique golden coat gives him an appeal which has made him successful in more than 35 countries spread over 5 continents.